Story has it that a certain toddler ran to the father and said, "Daddy, how did human beings get into this world?" And the father told him, "Oh, we evolved from monkeys." And the child ran to the mother with the same question, "Mommy, how did human beings get into this world?" And the mother said, "Oh, we are created by God." And the child said, "But Daddy said we evolved from monkeys." And the woman said, "Your daddy is right. He actually came from monkeys, but God created me and you." Hi. I'll get back to this story. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ngozi Okure. In this channel, we celebrate books and how to leverage reading for success in life. Please subscribe to my channel. You will love what we do here. And if you can give me a thumbs up, that would be amazing. In today's video, we'll be discussing how to program your newborn baby for success leveraging books. How do we program a newborn baby for success leveraging books, right? Now, getting back to the story I told at the beginning, it's so important what you believe. Now, if you believe that you're created by God, it makes the work easier to program your child for success. Why? Because it is said that man is created in the image of God. And this happens to me. That happens to be one of the most outstanding statements in the whole world. To believe that you are made in the image of God. Now, this is so important because you see, your image is programmed to do what you do. That's why when you stand in front of the mirror, whatever you do, your image in the mirror does exactly the same thing. If you lift your hand in front of the mirror, your image in the mirror does exactly the same thing. So if you believe that the child that God has given to you came from God, that he's made in the image of God, it makes the job a lot easier because you will see that that child is already programmed with potential. That means that your child has unlimited potentials and that that child is an extension of God and there are God deposits in that child, okay? You know that every human being has received a deposit from God. There is something that God has put in every human being with which you can become great in this one. That's why you see some people can sing, some can act, some can draw, so there is something, a deposit in that child. So your assignment basically is to watch that child, nurture that child, and get to discover the giftings of God in him and guide him along that line with some of the things I will be discussing with you that we need to do, okay? So let's get into it. Another thing that you need to appreciate is that this child is coming from the womb, and in the womb the child was not doing much. He was not playing video games, he was not watching cartoons, he was not watching home videos. That child was not playing football in the womb. So as this child has come to you, I want you to know that that child is not going to be bored if you don't give him the screen. He's not going to be bored if you don't give him video games, right? Okay, so having said that, it's so important also for you to know that that child has never been to America. He has not gone to your neighbors' houses before. He has not gone to your uncle's homes before to know what they have and what they don't have. So as that child comes to you, you want to program him for success. I want you to know that your house or your home represents the whole world to that child. So all the things you're going to do in that home will determine what becomes of that child, right? Will determine whether that child will become a success or a failure. Now, with that in mind, one of the very first things you need to do to determine that you harness the greatness in that child or to program that child for success is that you have to introduce him to books and to reading. Yes, even from the cradle, read to that child. Someone says that children are made readers on the laps of their mothers. Children are made readers on the laps of their mothers. I wonder where the fathers are. Okay, so me, I'll adjust this saying to say that children are made readers on the laps of their parents. Okay, so begin to read for that child. Now, when you're reading for that child, he will just be looking at you and you'll be wondering, does he know? Does he understand? This is a child who is 1 month old, 2 months old, and you're reading. Does he appreciate? Yes, he does. What you're doing when you're reading to that child is that you're communicating to that child that books are important, that in this world we read books. That's what you're communicating to his young mind. And then you will continue this. It's not something that takes a long time. It's something that takes just a few minutes in a day. But when it comes to developing a habit, consistency is a major key. So you have to read for that child consistently. So as you're reading, the child is growing. He begins to sit. The toys that you surround him with, make sure there are board books, there are illustrated books, there are all manner of books, okay? Get books that are age specific for him. The child becomes 1 year, get him the books that are right for 1 year olds, and then you read bedtime story, just a few minutes, you finish one story, you cover it, you are telling this child books are important, reading is important, and please keep away the screen. Don't distract this child with the screen. If you are trying to program a child for success, don't put screens in their hands. You see, when my children were growing up, I did not allow anybody to watch home videos around them. Screens can be very distractive. It is said that successful people train their minds, failures entertain their minds. Don't make entertainment a goal for that child. Make sure that you surround him with books. Don't begin to entertain him by giving him video games and the screen. When a child doesn't have those distractions, it will be easy for him to discover himself. It will be easy for him to engage himself with the things that are important, with the things that will help him to harness the greatness that is in him. Okay, so what you do as a mother, as a father, is to surround that child with the materials with which you will be able to, write, draw, mold things, build blocks, all the things that he needs. And these things are not too difficult to get. Go to any standard bookshop, you will see these things. It will cost you money, right? One thing I've discovered is that a lot of parents are willing to spend on capital projects. They want to buy designer bags, build houses, buy exotic cars. When you tell them to invest into the development of their kids, they think they don't usually do it. That's why you will see a parent carry the children to eateries every now and then. They'll take the children to eateries, one small piece at 15,000 they're willing to pay. Tell them to buy a block, building block, or to buy Play-Doh or sketching book or drawing books or all those things for 5,000 naira is a burden. They might not even want to do it. There are so many parents who have never entered the bookshop before. Yes, they have not carried their children to bookshops before. You're not going to be those kind of parents if you want to program your children for success, right? Okay, so you provide that child with everything he needs to build things, to draw things, to sketch things, okay? And then when he's doing all these things, you're watching him to see his inclinations, to see his leanings. What are the things he's interested in? Okay, I remember when my children were growing up, nobody was permitted to watch home videos around my children because I know the distractions the screen could be for children. Okay, so sketching, my first daughter was always interested in sketching clothes, fashion, designs, clothes, okay? And she was very good at that. So I remember there was a time I was traveling with them from Venezuela to Nigeria in the plane. One white man that sat near my daughter was so amazed that at her age she could sketch the things she was sketching. Then you give the same material she's using to sketch clothes to my second daughter, that one will always sketch castles. My daughter was enchanted with castles. Then you give the same thing to my son, he will draw animals. So you can see that their passions are different. So that's why it's so good to provide children with these things so that you will begin to watch, to see the areas that they're leaning to, the areas of their interest, okay? So you continue to give children age-specific books. When he becomes 1 year, you surround him with other books, board books, illustrated storybooks, bedtime stories, Aesop's fables, illustrated Bible stories. You begin to surround the child with all those, and the child is looking. Most times when they're very young, all they do is to flip over the books and they look at pictures. Some of them are talking books. They'll press something and the book will tell them some cats, elephant. They are learning, okay? So they are enchanted based on what the type of books you are able to provide for them. There's a revolution going on in the area of books and educational resources, okay? And until you get to a standard bookshop and ask them to show you what they have, you won't know. So that's why it's so important. If you're programming a child for success, visit bookshops, look at what they have, ask them questions. Educational toys exist, the ones that are not screen-based. You get them for your child, allow that child to develop, give him things with which he can mold. Then when the child now begins to learn, ages 3, to 4. When the child begins to learn, there is something you need to do. There is something that children do. Children usually get bored easily. They get bored easily. And that's why when you buy a toy for a child, he plays with that toy. He carries that toy to everywhere. Wouldn't want anybody to touch that toy. After a few days, what happens? He dumps it. He's bored. He wants something new. So you also leverage this knowing in getting so many books. That time he has begun to read, you give him the books, he reads, you take it, you give him another one, he reads, you take it, you give him another one. Continue to place books in his hands consistently for a period, right? After some time, reading becomes habitual. You see, man is a creature of habit, and whatsoever we do consistently over a period of time becomes habitual. If you have been able to nurture this child, you're putting books into his hand consistently, you have taken the screen and all the distractions away from him, until this child has picked the habit of reading. This child has fallen in love with books and reading. You have put that child on the pathway to success. Someone says that successful people train their minds, while failures love to entertain their mind. That's why you should make sure when you're programming a child for success that you are not putting a lot of entertainment on his path. Don't be worried that maybe he will be bored. He's just doing intellectual activities, note screen, other children are playing with screens. No, don't do that. Now, what many parents do not know is that boredom is good for children. When a child is bored, he will begin to look for what to do, and it is in the process of doing this and that that they discover what they really love to do. They discover what they are really good at. So leave your children. There will be plenty of time for him to play with the screen, but at these formative years, when you're trying to program him for success, just give him books and educational resources. Point him to books, and if he begins to read consistently, you have laid a solid foundation for that child to become successful. Obama said that reading is a gateway skill that makes every other learning possible. Once you give a child a reading culture, he will be able to learn anything, be able to acquire any skill to become highly successful in life. Thank you so much for being a part of this beautiful video. I believe you got value. If you got value, please subscribe to my channel and share this link with friends. Until I come your way next time, remain richly blessed.